Hiking beneath a black parasol, through soot and copper rain. 4 pale echoes wore my face, but one remembered every name. Across from black honey's windows, I made the cadaver breathe again. I poured their drinks and dressed their wounds, and learned what silence cost. They thought I polished empty glasses, I counted what was lost. Every laugh became a lever, every secret found its place. A crystal disc held buried truth, the council meant to tame. A carriage fell, a watcher blinked, and falsehood wore truth's name. The city swallowed our deception and thanked us all the same. Then Jasmine crossed the harbor, 9 crates where 8 were sworn. We stole the roots instead of tea and brought the garden home. Through shattered gates and stolen wheels, we outran the breaking dawn. Inside the museum's marble halls, our guilt was framed before 5 empty portraits waited there. Before we crossed the door, I claimed the right to speak for all, and made their law serve mine. They called her Joanna in the dark, a name she left behind. Her handler spoke of loyalty, like ownership of mine. Dorian priced her as a payment, I broke his claim in light. Maeve asked for every consequence, not merely ink and law. I gave my hand and answered any, and knew what promise saw. I stood between her and the council, then kindness became dead. I kept the glass clean while the city stained its hands. I gathered every promise, every weakness, every plan. They never asked what waited when the final switch went down. I found you in a city that had forgotten how to grow. A daughter dressed in winter black with summer buried low. I whispered through the floorboards and taught the stone to bloom. I gave you roots beneath the streets, through jasmine, rain and drain. Maeve would be my chosen hand, the roots would be my road. The Wyrmwell once awakened would carry what we sowed. We'd raise the false beast laughing, expose the ancient lie, and show the frightened citizens that smoke cannot rule the sky. You promised me an opening, a breath beneath the crown. You spoke of change so beautifully, I laid my caution down. I thought you served the garden, I thought you understood. I planted you a pathway, but never asked who would. The Wyrmwell was not broken, its heart had slipped from time. Roe gave the perfect rhythm, the witness heard each lie. The time crystal bound them all to one unerring breath. Aurelian saw too much too soon. I reached to smooth the fear, he held his ground and kept the truth. So I kept him standing near. The only mind that saw the danger became the final gear. Sienna heard one quiet order, she could not disobey. Guard the engine until midnight, turn every hand away. Maeve reached march toward living power, but promise barred the way. The crystal and dreadlocks came down, the Wyrmwell drew a breath. Every future-bearing Voss was measured out and spent. No blade, no blood, no body, only all he might have been. The garden answered beautifully, roots tightened through the stone. Flowers opened under lamplight, the archfey began her song. Then the witness heard the city, and my hidden road awoke. You rooted the wound into my garden, yes, I softly said. If I release it, thousands die. Then hold the door instead. Veridia cracked above us, and she could not let it fall. One compelled and one indebted, one brilliant life undone, one goddess holding up the city, one queen still yet to come. The false beast bowed above the well. Every great bell rang, the violet fracture opened, white hair beneath the crown. No hurry and no mercy, one foot touched the ground. The witness spoke her name once, love. I kept the glass clean while the whole world stained its hands. I gathered every promise, every sacrifice and plan. I turned the heart of Veridia and brought my mother down. Now Sienna bears my order, Maeve knows what kindness cost. The archfey holds the city, Aurelian is lost. They thought I wanted freedom, I only built a door. Coffee black, let lamps burn low. One door, one queen, one city on its knees. The engine breathes below. Welcome home, mother. Veridia is yours.
Well, hello and welcome. Tonight is Coffee, Cogs and Confessions. However, it is also City of Veridia, the aftermath. And halfway through this evening, we shall switch to the questions. But first we have a reading to make. However, as we return to the Clockwork Cadaver for one last look back at the choices that have changed Veridia forever, with the Wyrmwell repaired, the garden rooted deep beneath the city, old loyalties possibly fractured, and new futures beginning to take shape, the Cadaver crew finally has the time to do something they rarely manage: sit down and talk. We'll be looking back at the fear, the betrayals, the impossible decisions, the friendships that survived them, and the lives each of them has begun building in the 3 months since. No heists, no court cases, no collapsing engines, just coffee, cogs, confessions, a few questions some of them might want to have had stayed unasked. But before we get there, let's just do a round table of who is here from the Cadaver crew first. Tonight we are graced by Flaps.
Hello.
Flaps, as you all know, played Aurelian, and prior to that he played Hexalon, Gamma 5.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Omega, who right from the very beginning has always played Kane.
Hello.
We have Hope Widowguest with us, who only joined us towards the end of the campaign, but had a profound impact and played Kaliana.
Thanks for the big player.
You know it. Then another one of the OG crew is Severin, played by Turtle.
Hello.
And then, last but not least tonight, we have Muriel, who played the wonderful Maeve.
Hello.
Hello. So, as you are all aware, there is a bit of an aftermath that needs to be resolved. And we are going to start tonight with a story. It is not a short story. It is not too long either, though. So we will get through this so that everything can be put to bed as to where all the characters stand and what you're all doing and how it all plays out. The 3 months after the Wyrmwell. The Wyrmwell does not explode. For several terrible seconds, that feels like the only fact that anyone here can trust. The machinery screams through its final rotations. Metal contracts beneath sudden cold. Steam pours through the chamber in white sheets, and the 3 crystals continue to hum with energies they were never meant to carry together. Beneath the floor, beneath the stone, beneath the oldest foundations of Veridia, roots move through places where roots have never grown before. Slowly, the engine quietens, one piston at a time, one cog, one valve, one trembling length of pipe, and the roar becomes a low, mechanical rhythm. The great machine beneath the Horden horn no longer sounds as though it's tearing itself apart. It sounds as though it is breathing, and above it, Veridia is still standing. Despite this, there are no cheers. There are victories that often feel like triumphs, but this isn't one of them. For a while, there is only the sound of people breathing, the occasional hiss of cooling metal, and the soft scrape of living roots settling into places where they have been driven. Maeve does not leave. Not yet. She stays beneath the Horden horn long enough to make sure the roots are stable, that the crew is safe, and nothing else is immediately breaking. Then she closes her eyes and reaches through the garden. The roots are no longer something she must touch in order to feel. They are thousands of quiet senses beneath the city. Moisture in the soil, pressure against stone, a bruise where masonry has shifted, and water found in an old channel. Jasmine opening somewhere several streets away. Her own presence in the network feels steady, like a heartbeat. The Archfey is different, wild, moonlit, and alive in a way that refuses neat edges. And beside both of them is something cold. Taut, silken, woven rather than grown. Maeve follows it as far as she dares, calls for the Archfey and waits. Whatever answer comes is enough to confirm the thing she feared in the final moments of the activation. Loth's web entered through the passage and wrapped itself around the same living network as the garden. The Archfey is still there, but she is no longer alone in what was meant to be hers. Maeve tells the others all of it. Trust was what she poured into the Wyrmwell. Trust became its heartbeat. Beginning this new age with another secret would only repeat the very failure that allowed the passage to become something none of them fully understood. Then she finds Lillian. Lillian de Cruel is still close to the time crystal, composed in a peculiar way. Only Lillian can be composed. While an entire city has just survived a divine complication, she has done what she came to Veridia to do. The garden grew. Her web grew with it. A road was made, and her mother answered. Maeve does not shout. She does not need to. She tells Lillian exactly what she felt in the roots, reminds her of the promise between them, and demands the complete truth. Not the carefully selected truth, not the wording that satisfies a contract while hiding its scale. The whole thing. And Lillian does not deny that she made a route for Lolth, nor that Maeve's garden was essential to it. Whether she understood every consequence is another matter entirely. Maeve is less interested in intent than consequence. Her own favour is paid. The passage was opened. The 12 seconds are gone, but the black threads are a repercussion of what Lillian asked her to do, and Lillian promised that repercussions would fall upon Lillian, not Maeve. There's a second debt as well, Lolth. Lolth used Maeve's garden as a road into Veridia. Maeve considers that debt separate, and she has no intention of allowing one promise to erase the other. My part is done, Maeve tells her. Yours has begun. For the first time since the engine began its final sequence, the conflict becomes simple enough to name. Maeve will work with Lillian if doing so protects the garden, the Archfey and Veridia. But words will no longer be enough. Maeve wants disclosure, boundaries, help isolating the web. If it must be cut away, Lillian will help cut it. If there is a cost, Lillian will not ask everyone else to pay it, whilst she remains untouched. Lillian accepts the weight of this promise because she cannot credibly do otherwise. She may not share Maeve's interpretation of every consequence, but she understands contracts' debts, and the danger of pretending a promise has vanished merely because fulfilling it has become inconvenient. And from that moment onward, Maeve and Lillian remained bound together by something more complicated than a friendship and more dangerous than mistrust. Obligation. Around them, the crew begins to come apart in different directions. Severin is one of the first to withdraw. He does not go far. He finds somewhere out the way, sits down, and lets magical darkness gather around him until the Wyrmwell, the arguing, the roots, and the consequences all disappear from sight. Darkness has always been easier for him to understand, because it has never pretended to be anything else. Inside it, he can think clearly, or at least tune out enough of the world to decide which thoughts deserve to remain. Sienna's first concern is Ethan. Whatever has happened beneath the city, whatever powers have just announced themselves across the board, her son comes first. She checks him with the thoroughness of someone who has spent most of her life assuming safety is temporary, then keeps him close while she looks for answers. She wants to speak to Lillian. She wants to speak to Aurelian. She wants to understand why a plan that had seemed so carefully assembled became something entirely different in its final moments. And Kane checks on Sienna and Ethan before almost anything else. They had been kind to him, and now he needs to know that they are all right. Only after that does he leave the brick and brass behind, go to the water and dive, until Veridia becomes a distant vibration above him. There in the dark he calls to his patron and asks whether this was the change she wanted, whether becoming a catalyst was always meant to feel like this, and whether she expects him to keep changing the city with her. Kaliana remains until she considers her contract with Liliane fulfilled. She watches, listens, and measures the room the way she has always measured dangerous people. Gods and archfey, difficult concepts to fit into a practical worldview, but gang bosses, nobles, factions, all maneuvering for advantage is very familiar territory. And Kaliana's first conclusion is therefore blunt and useful. New leadership, same old Veridia. Once Lillian dismisses her from the immediate job, Kaliana returns to the family hideout and tells Rex and the others just enough to understand that Veridia now has new players, capable of moving pieces the old factions thought were untouchable. Her advice is simple. Keep your heads down until the board settles. Aurelian does something different. He leaves. He walks away from the Wyrmwell he repaired, from the machinery whose mechanics and calculations had been correct, and from the people he no longer feels believed him when it mattered. To Aurelian, Lillian's act was not a clever distinction or an obligation fulfilled. It was betrayal of everything he had tried to protect. Maeve's part in allowing the roots to become the path leaves him wounded too. He had wanted to help the Archfey. Instead, he leaves, hoping that one day she will find a way to remove Lolth from her garden without him. Liliane sees him go and does not follow. She does not insult him by pretending he misunderstood what she chose to do. And Aurelian does not give her the satisfaction of a confrontation. He returns to the small loft he maintained elsewhere in Veridia, tends his injuries, gathers what he needs, and prepares to leave the city. For once, Aurelian Voss decides that Veridia can solve its own problems. The first bit of good news is that nothing collapses. The second is that the garden does not stop growing. Although whether that counts as good news depends entirely on whom you ask. Jasmine appears along alley walls, roots trace old drainage channels without splitting the pipes beside them. Flowers rise from cracks in brickwork that have not seen soil in generations. Vines soften iron railings. Green begins to interrupt the soot, and the first time somebody finds a flower growing beneath a memory lamp, a crowd gathers for nearly an hour. Nobody knows whether touching it is safe. Eventually, a child does, and nothing terrible happens. By the afternoon, somebody has decided to tie a ribbon around the stem. And that is how Veridia begins adapting. Not through proclamation, not through philosophy, but because someone decides a strange new flower looks better with a ribbon. Maeve returns to the Clockwork Cadaver and remains there. The cadaver is still home. Many nights she sleeps in the rooftop garden, and other nights when the roots are sick or distressed, she goes beneath the city and sleeps closer to them. Her mornings often begin by listening. At first, the size of the network overwhelms her. There are moments when it feels as though she can hear every heartbeat in Veridia all at once, with no way to know which heart deserves her first. She learns to narrow herself, one route, one plant, one person, and when even that becomes too much, she returns to the crew, to ordinary voices and ordinary rooms, to people who remind her where Maeve ends and the garden begins. She does not attempt to force every route into place. Instead, she gives the garden purpose and law. It may grow into abandoned spaces, public courtyards, rooftops, schools, neglected streets, and the poorest districts where Veridia has long treated clean food, medicine, shade, and beauty as luxuries. It may reinforce damaged buildings, collect clean water, grow herbs, and produce food. It may heal places the city has ignored. But it may not enter private homes without permission. Graves are left alone unless the living ask, and the dead are respected. Sacred places remain sacred. Memory lamps are not consumed. Critical city works are not to be disrupted. Around the Wyrmwell, Maeve keeps the roots closely contained and watched. She still tends important places with her own hands. New jasmine, sick growth, gardens cared for by ordinary people, but the network quickly becomes too large for one pair of hands. So Maeve begins teaching neighbourhood caretakers how to live with it. Schools tend small plots. Healers cultivate medicinal herbs. Riverites learn where roots can help support masonry and where they must be kept away from valves and pressure lines. The museum may advise when knowledge is useful, but the synod, wealthy private interests, and civic officials are given no authority to claim the roots as property. The garden's gift belongs to Veridia. Its command does not. Maeve accepts the title Queen of her garden because, in the simplest possible sense, it answers to her. She does not claim that Veridia itself belongs to her. She claims responsibility for the living network running beneath it. Liliane, meanwhile, takes responsibility for a different network. Her simulacrums begin moving through the city again. One can be found behind the cadaver bar, as though the Wyrmwell never happened. Another appears at the civic office, long enough to ensure nobody quietly rewrites the cadaver's legal position. Another is seen near the museum, making several curators deeply uncomfortable. And the real Lillian is harder to place. Sometimes she's at the cadaver, sometimes the Wyrmwell. Sometimes somebody swears they saw her somewhere she could not possibly have reached in time. She does not declare herself ruler of anything. Lillian has never needed a throne to understand power. Instead, she works to prevent Veridia's institutions from tearing at the new root network in panic. Attempts to cut, seize, or burn important growth become entangled in questions of structural safety, magical contamination, civic liability, and ownership, until the people carrying the axes decide they would rather wait for someone else to sign the order. Part of this protects Maeve's garden, because Liliane promised it would be protected. Part of it protects Liliane's own web, because the two systems are now dangerously entangled. And for the first time, those motives are not conveniently separate. Maeve sees that clearly. She still cares about Liliane, which makes distrust harder rather than easier. Liliane kept the literal words of her promises while concealing their scale. Maeve therefore stops measuring her by what she says and begins measuring her by what she risks instead. Cooperation continues because the garden, the Archfey, and Veridia matter more than satisfying anger. Cooperation is not, however, forgiveness. The clockwork cadaver changes around them. Sienna settles into the bar and increasingly uses the name Joanna in public. If someone who knows better asks why, the answer is simple. Sienna no longer belongs to her. Joanna does. Joanna survived. Her face changes constantly. Never one identity for more than a few days. Different hair, different clothes, different posture, different voice. Ethan learns quickly because he has to. But Sienna builds routine around him with a strictness born from love rather than cruelty. In the morning, he may prepare drinks. He does not serve strangers. He speaks only to people she has approved. And in the evening, he may help the kitchen, fetch things and learn where everything belongs. Then work stops. Training, study, play, sleep. She also begins looking for something that would once have seemed dangerously permanent. A home. Somewhere Ethan can grow up. Somewhere a governess can teach him. Somewhere she can restore a life rather than merely hide inside one. She memorizes every exit. She still memorizes every exit. Freedom has not made her careless. Kaliana's family begins emerging from hiding once the immediate danger fades. Rex, Eva, Bobby, Tommy, and Rash come gradually into the orbit of the cadaver. Not as members of the crew, but as family who can work, tend the bar, fix things, and help keep the place secure without becoming targets. Liliane eventually places an amended deed in Kaliana's hands, making the responsibility of the cadaver more formal. Kaliana has no interest in becoming the head of a brand new faction. She has a tavern to manage, family to keep alive, a slum to look after, and more important people than ever to avoid accidentally offending. Kaliana and Maeve find an unexpected common ground. Their loyalties are not the same. Maeve is tied to the archfey in the garden. Kaliana has worked comfortably with Lillian and is willing to treat Lolth as another powerful interest in a city already full of them. Yet both understand what it means to become entangled in the forces larger than themselves, while still caring about people who will never be invited into rooms where those forces bargain. Kaliana starts using the access she has gained to push for something practical. The slums should not pay the price for another reshuffling of Veridia's powerful. If Lillian owes her a favour, Kaliana intends to spend it on leverage that protects her community. If the gangs already form the structure people rely on, she would rather bring them into an attempt to improve the district than pretend they can be wished away. And the garden helps. Kaliana and her siblings even revisit an old idea and establish a small garden of their own use, for their own use. It's not the most noble use of Fae-assisted urban agriculture, but it is undeniably Veridian. By the end of the first month, Veridia discovers something astonishing. The garden is useful. Roots strengthen loose foundations, damp courtyards begin to dry properly, herbs appear where residents can actually reach them, and shade spreads across streets that have never had it. In one of the poorest districts, Maeve chooses an abandoned courtyard and makes it a statement of what she believes the garden should be. The roots reinforce surrounding homes rather than breaking them. They collect clean water. Food plants rise from beds cleared of rubble. Medicinal herbs grow beside them. Trees create shade. Jasmine climbs the walls. Neighbours begin tending it together, and someone drags out chairs. Someone else leaves food on a communal table. Then one afternoon, Maeve arrives and finds children running beneath the trees, not frightened, not hiding, just playing. And she stands there for a long time. This is what she meant. Not a forest swallowing the city, not the city forcing nature back into decorative pots. People and the living world becoming part of the same place again. The people begin speaking about Maeve differently. First, she is the woman from the cadaver. Then she is the garden keeper. Then the queen of the garden. And eventually another title begins appearing in conversations. Veridia's High Royal. Nobody's elected her. There is no coronation, no council proclamation. The title emerges because people recognize power when they see it. Maeve can stand in a courtyard and the roots move when she speaks. She can feel damage beneath the streets. She can make food grow from abandoned ground, and trust moves through the living network, and people near it feel protected. That creates affection. It does also create some fear. People love the woman whose gardens feed them. They are very aware that the greenery listens when she speaks. Maeve accepts both. Power should make people cautious. She has seen what happens when it does not. Citizens begin approaching her with requests. A cellar full of roots, a cracked house, a daughter whose nightmares stopped after jasmine grew outside her room, a husband buried beneath a grave someone once covered in flowers. Maeve listens at first. She repairs the damage caused by the garden. She grows the food and medicine and shelter and memorials where she can. And she also says no when a request would harm somebody else or turn a garden into private property. The Wyrmwell remains the great practical problem beneath all of this, however. Aurelian never returns, and his absence is made sharper now by how well his work continues to function. The alignment is correct. The machine is stable. The engineer who understood it best has simply decided it is no longer his responsibility. Cain returns because he cannot make the same choice. He helped choose the garden. He helped cool the machine. He believes with growing guilt that he helped bring something terrible into Veridia. And therefore he refuses to leave everyone else to carry the consequence alone. He checks the Wyrmwell repeatedly, looking for signs of another change and for anything connected to his patron. Kaliana begins filling the mechanical gap. She may not understand the crystals the way Aurelian did, but she understands gears, pressure, timing, heat, and the language of machinery. She learns the Wyrmwell sounds, the harmless rattle, the warning grind, the rhythm that means a component is slipping just enough to become dangerous if ignored. She keeps the mechanical systems in shape, while Cain watches cooling, water, and stranger parts of the resonance. Kobold engineers hover around both of them, sometimes helping, sometimes offering advice, only after watching them struggle long enough to be entertaining. But through it all, the empty workbench remains, and nobody moves it. Kaliana also refuses to be caught helpless by the fear bleed again. And with Tommy's help, she builds a proper respirator and makes spares for the people around her. Her medical supplies now include provisions for blood loss as well, because every third morning at roughly 4 a.m., 2 hours before the first bell, Caliana maintains a very strange appointment with Lady Addington. The arrangement continues. Blood, conversation, aristocratic gossip, careful boundaries, sometimes intimacy. Never enough trust for Caliana to stop watching the exits. Lady Addington's offer of immortality remains the one thing Caliana tells nobody. She has not accepted it. She has not entirely rejected it either. Sienna, meanwhile, begins rebuilding the Malone legacy one quiet piece at a time. Not with public announcements, but through the property records, old accounts, and questions asked discreetly. If the family estate can be restored, she wants it restored. If the legitimate businesses that existed before her father's gambling can be rebuilt, she intends to rebuild them. Ethan will be named her heir. Dorian remains alive because leverage is more useful than vengeance. While leverage still works, Sienna offers a colder arrangement. A monthly payment, possibly property, distance, and silence. He leaves her and Ethan alone, and she does not publicly destroy what remains of his name. One condition exists, whether or not it is written down. If Dorian tries to use Ethan to control her again, there will not be a second negotiation. Nor does Sienna sever herself from the Synod entirely either. She remains valuable to them, and value is protection. She continues working as an information gatherer rather than an assassin, taking knowledge, money, and influence while maintaining one absolute rule. Ethan is untouched. Corvin Pell remains useful for information and protection. The past is the past as far as Sienna can force herself to believe. She will do better now, rather than spend the rest of her life staring backwards. Her theory changes with her too. Or perhaps Sienna simply changes the questions she asks it. Survival is no longer the only subject. The voice that once helped her endure becomes something closer to family. Someone whom she can ask ordinary questions about life, rather than only how to stay alive until morning. She also returns more seriously to healing. Calling Aurelian back from death does not become a grand spiritual revelation in her mind. He was dead. She had a diamond. She had the magic to save him. So she did. What changes the meaning of healing is Ethan and the Malone name. Her father healed people. That is the inheritance she wants to keep clean. Kane becomes one of the people she sees the most often. He had checked on her and Ethan before, and almost anyone else after the Wyrmwell. He had checked on her and Ethan before anyone else did after the Wyrmwell, and he keeps making an effort with her son. Sienna notices who treats Ethan as baggage and who treats him as a person, and Kane falls firmly in the second category. Kane himself becomes more serious over the weeks. The water that forms around his hands change. It grows darker, not dirty, deep. The colour of an ocean where sunlight does not reach. Through it moves thin lines of an impossible colour, fey-bright streaks drifting inside the water like living veins. The element responds more strongly to his emotions, sometimes before Kane has admitted those emotions to himself. Animals notice, and some draw closer when he is calm. Others back away when something darker moves through him. He is unsettled by how much power over nature the thing connected to him may possess, but he does not retreat from it. He trains magic, swordplay, strategy, control, intelligence, weapons, armor. He learns everything he can about putting enchantment into steel and making his own equipment stronger. He buys land near the docks, comfortable but not ostentatious, enough space to build a life and a workshop. And at the same time, he asks his father's company to take a stronger position in Veridia. Ships soon arrive carrying food. Workers are offered fairer wages. People at the docks begin knowing Kane not simply as one of the cadaver crew, but as a healer who uses water magic to clean wounds, cool fevers, and help people back onto their feet. Sometimes, once they are standing, he will even offer them work. Back at the cadaver, Kane tends a bar. He talks, he laughs, he reads people, makes deals. He learns that leverage does not always have to look like blackmail. Sometimes it's simply knowing who will answer when you ask. He remains wary of Maeve, not cruelly, but carefully, watching what she does with the garden he helped choose. He does not trust Lillian at all. Whatever she offers next will be measured against the memory of how thoroughly she used all of them to reach her own objectives before. Severin stays too. He returns to the kitchen because cooking gives him problems that can be solved with heat, timing, and ingredients. Keeps a little gold hidden away because stability is something he has never learned to trust completely. He walks the streets around the cadaver, not under a badge and not as part of a formal patrol, simply because if someone is in trouble and he can help, he will. He begins talking with the kobolds about discreet escape points along the routes he knows best, maintenance hatches, tunnel entrances, and hidden places where someone being followed might vanish long enough to survive. Hunger may be answered with food, desperation sometimes with coin. Cruelty receives a different response. Actions have consequences. The Grey Mantles receive some of the people he catches, and Severin pays attention to what happens afterwards. If dangerous people begin reappearing because somebody stamped the right piece of paper, his faith in the constabulary will not survive long. At night he still meditates inside magical darkness. His shadow feels slightly more responsive than it did before the Wyrmwell. Sometimes someone enters a room, and he thinks he can sense their mood in the shadows around them. Anxiety, anger, fear. He tells himself it's a gut feeling, probably. More importantly, Severin discovers that darkness does not oppose Maeve's garden. Plants grow in the shade. Some even need it. Life requires both light and darkness to thrive. And he eventually mentions to Maeve that the darker corners of the cadaver could use plants of their own. Something that blooms without sunlight. Perhaps something that glows. Maeve enjoys the principle, and a garden does not need darkness destroyed in order to live. I'm going to take a quick break there as I get myself a glass of water. I'll let you lot discuss amongst yourselves for 5 minutes what you've heard of the story so far.
Quite nice so far. Kane, you turned into a big softie.
I mean,
Sorry, I was trying. Huh? Kane turns into a big softy.
Mm-hmm. You're looking at the heat.
Water's not exactly the most hard thing.
Yeah,
Depends.
frozen
Depends who you
water.
ask, really.
Did I hear you right, Omega?
Hmm.
You were crying.
Oh. I said depends who asked the Flapses thing.
Oh, okay.
What,
Fair enough.
hold on. And did you say that water's a soft thing?
Yes.
No, it's not.
Actually, water's quite hard when you impact it at height and
Yeah, if
speed
you hit
and
it
flat.
fast enough, it can literally kill you. And if you
And it
push it to a high enough pressure, it can go through stone and steel.
and
I
it
feel,
can
I
kill
feel
you
like
when it's
that's the case for
frozen.
most things at a high speed or a high pressure. They can kill you.
True.
Yeah,
You
let's
can do that shit with fucking milk.
So,
let
and you hit water right now, you can literally move through mountains and such with just a constant flow of.
I'm sorry, Metal, you started this train and now you've got to enjoy the journey. Water can kill when it's frozen.
let's put it this way. Of what you've heard of the aftermath so far, what are your thoughts and feelings? One at a time. Let's start with Maeve. If Maeve's still in the chat with us.
He's here. He's muted at the moment.
Ah,
She needs 2 seconds.
okay. Fair
Probably
enough.
has to blow her nose, wipe her
Should
eyes.
we move and start with Kaliana then?
Ooh.
No pressure.
Oh yeah, I'll buy it. I feel like Kaliana's is pretty satisfied with her situation at the moment.
Yeah. Fair enough. And Flaps?
I don't know if I misheard this, but from what I can hear, I think Maeve has got regrets about the decision she helped Lillian with.
We will find that one out eventually, whether she has or not. Omega.
Miriel's back.
I think it's going very interesting. We all have our own. Maeve's doing the biggest out of all of what she is. Queen of this land.
Only
Nuh-uh.
queen. No,
Of her garden.
only of
Queen
her
of her
garden.
garden. This is fun. Poor Aurelian is now just gone. That's an insane choice. I did not actually expect that one properly.
Unless I would have been surprised if it was anything else.
Yeah.
True.
I
No, yeah.
I left for a specific reason.
Yes, we'll get to that in time.
Yes, I'm not saying any more, but I left.
It's sad that you left, though.
Yeah, Severin definitely would have tried getting a little payback for the forced hug. Wouldn't be anything harmful. It would just be more of he would have either stick to his hound of ill omen after you just to either trip you up or pluck a few tail feather or two off of you.
Yeah.
Well, as Metal said, you'll find out a bit more about
I
Veridia
know.
in a bit.
I'm
Okay. I think my
Kaliana's
throat
just happy
has.
that she doesn't have to sleep with an eye open if Aurelian is about.
Fair enough. And
Veridia's not a murderer.
last but not least. Well, there's two more, I believe, but let's start with Maeve. What are your thoughts and feelings so far?
She's kind of sad about the Aurelian state, although she still doesn't fully know about it. So maybe that might change. Anybody that would have left, it would, harm her emotions. Specifically because as of right now, it kind of seems like Maeve might be on the bad side. And kind of, correlating with Walth and Lillian. But until they fully know what Maeve is doing, then there can't really much be done.
Yep. And Severin.
Mm, it just seems to be going all well for the most part.
Then we shall continue on with the story. The aftermath. 3 months later. Far beyond Veridia, Aurelian has found a smaller life. He leaves the city far enough behind that its skyline disappears and its bells cannot reach him. And in a small village, he takes work as a teacher. No synod, no memory lamps watching every corner, no counsellor turning existential danger into a committee, no Wyrmwell. Instead, there are children. Aurelian teaches practical things, useful things, skills that matter without threatening the fabric of reality. And for the first time in a long while, he is not the only person in a room expected to solve everything. And then there is Serenity, a country owlin who becomes important enough that Aurelian begins doing something genuinely frightening. Imagining happiness. At night, however, the 6 seconds still find him. Death, return, possibilities that never happened. The ticking in his mind grows quieter, but it does not disappear. When he is alone or thinking too deeply, it remains in the background. Tick, tick, tick. Eventually his clocks begin behaving incorrectly, losing time, gaining time, stopping when they should not, and Aurelian does not investigate. He has had enough of mysteries. He takes them somewhere quiet, digs deep, and buries them, then goes home. Back in Veridia, the most remarkable change by the beginning of the 3rd month is that people are used to the garden now. It is no longer the first thing everyone talks about. People give directions using trees that did not exist 12 weeks ago. Vendors string lamps through the branches, dock workers eat lunch beneath patches of shade, and children climb things that used to be the drain pipes. A merchant complains because vines have covered his sign, while a woman in a poorer district refuses to allow anyone to cut down the tree that's shading her courtyard. And someone sells pressed jasmine to tourists, while someone else immediately starts selling counterfeit pressed jasmine to tourists. Veridia remains Veridia through and through. And for brief moments, though it feels better, not fixed, but better, there is a difference. Late one evening, Severin looks out from the clockwork cadaver and notices people walking home without hurrying. They're not constantly looking over their shoulders or measuring the distance to the next lit doorway. Somebody laughs halfway down the street. And inside, Kaliana catches sight of Rash, sitting with Ethan, enthusiastically teaching him about firearms. She considers intervening, imagines Sienna's reaction, and then decides not to. For a few quiet seconds, she watches the two children being allowed to be children. Perhaps the most normal sight she has ever associated with her own family's upbringing, and she smiles where nobody can see it. Behind the bar, Jonah counts bottles. Kane argues cheerfully with the patron over something entirely unimportant, and Severin's kitchen smells of actual food. Kaliana's siblings have turned parts of the cadaver from headquarters into a household, and Maeve's jasmine winds round the roof and windows. Lillian's simulacrums move through it all with trays, ledgers, and an almost insulting air of normality. One morning, Jonah takes Ethan shopping. Nothing dramatic, just bread, vegetables, household supplies, and something sweet Ethan has been trying to convince her counts as breakfast. There's no assassin behind them, no court waiting, no noble demanding ownership, and no monster rising from beneath the street. Just a mother and her son choosing what they are going to eat. For one brief moment, Sienna Malone, Jonah, experiences something she has wanted for longer than she knows how to explain. A life she chose. Back at the docks, Kane watches workers unload food beneath the marks of a company he intends to make useful. Around the poorer districts, Kaliana sees small changes that would once have required favours from people who never cared. On the streets near the cadaver, Severin sees people walking home more slowly in the living commons Maeve created. Children play under the green shade, while neighbours collect water and herbs from a place that used to be rubble. For a moment, it's possible to believe they did something good. The wrongness arrives in small pieces because Veridia has always been excellent at ignoring isolated problems. One memory lamp records an event incorrectly. A river riot finds roots wrapped around a pipe in a pattern no maintenance crew remembers approving. Kane holds water in his palm and watches the fey-coloured lines move against the current. Severin wakes from meditation because for one instant every shadow in the room seems to lean the same way. Sienna notices someone across the market looking at Ethan, and when she turns properly toward them and disappear into the crowd. Kaliana catches Lillian standing beside a part of the garden, watching it without smiling, without touching, simply watching, for a little too long. Kaliana understands enough of Lothian culture to know that mistrust, ambition, and advantage are ordinary. What she cannot shake is the feeling that Lillian and Lolth may still have plans nobody else has been told. Maeve feels something worse. One night she wakes before she knows why. The branching markings across her skin are bright. Somewhere beneath Veridia, a section of the garden is moving without her command. She reaches into the roots and finds black silk pulling through them. Not lying beside the garden this time, moving it. Roots twist, branches bend, and growth reorganizes itself into perfect geometry. Every nearby flower turns towards the same point beneath the city, and for one terrible moment the garden answers another heartbeat. Lolth's. Maeve pushes back. The roots strain. The webs pull taut. For a moment the two patterns sit over one another, living root and perfect silk, neither willing to yield. Then Maeve forces the shape apart, and the flowers slowly turn back. Maeve does not sleep again that night. For now she knows the difference between presence and trespass. Lolth is testing the limits of what she can command. If the webs begin answering through places Maeve never opened, if it moves roots against her will again, if Maeve ever loses the ability to tell the Spider Queen from the Archfey, the problem will no longer belong to her alone. She begins preparing for the possibility that part of the garden may have to be cut away. The thought hurts. It does not change the answer. People first, the Archfey, Veridia, then the garden roots can regrow. Lives cannot. She also reaches for the Archfey more and more often. The answers are not always immediate. Maeve does not expect them to be. What frightens her are the moments when the shape of the answer is wrong, too slow, too empty, or too cold. She begins testing every uncertain contact against memories and signs only the Archfey should know. Lillian notices the change in Maeve before Maeve even says anything, and by now the two women have spent 3 months working in parallel. Maeve tending the living city, Lillian containing the legal, political, and supernatural consequences of what she helped create. Neither trusts the other in the way that they once might have, but neither can afford the luxury of walking away. Maeve reminds Lillian again that the debt remains. Lillian's promise is not fulfilled merely because the city is still standing. Lolth's debt is not forgiven merely because Maeve has not yet named the price. Lillian, for perhaps the first time, cannot resolve the problem with an elegant phrase. Serving her mother, protecting Maeve, protecting the garden, and preserving the Archfey are beginning to pull in different directions. The promises still exist. So does Lolth. So does the garden. And the web has begun to pull. For once there is no second plan waiting behind Lillian's first. No simulacrum arrives with a prepared ledger. No hidden clause appears to turn disaster into an advantage. She studies the black silk threaded through Maeve's roots and stays silent, long enough for the silence itself to become unusual. And when she finally speaks, the familiar sweetness is gone from her voice. Maeve. Maeve looks at her but says nothing. I can contain parts of what my mother is doing. I can hide roots from her. I can make certain strands difficult to reach, perhaps even painful to use. But I cannot remove her from this garden. The admission costs her more than the calm delivery suggests. Lillian de Cruel has spent too long making certain she is never the person without an answer. She looks down towards the roots. And if I sever the wrong connection, I fear I may tear your garden apart with my web. I may damage the Archfey with it. Hell, I fear I may damage Veridia. Maeve's expression does not soften, and Lillian does not ask it to. Simple response. Your promise still stands. And a simple reply, as Lillian, looking down at her own feet, simply says, I know. I know. Lillian turns back towards the clockwork cadaver And somewhere inside, glasses are being stacked, food is being prepared, and somebody is arguing over something wonderfully ordinary. And the remnants of a crew she manipulated into changing Veridia are attempting to build lives in the city that survived them. I have spent a very long time ensuring that I would never need to say this, Lillian pipes up. A faint, humorless smile touches the corner of her lips. It appears I have finally been inconvenienced, and the smile disappears. I need help. Not employees, not favours being collected, not people moved into useful positions without knowing why. And you begin to see, the crew that remains begins to see real emotion in her eyes as tears begin to fall down her face. And you all hear the difference immediately. Lillian looks back at Maeve. Yours first, then theirs if they will give it. I will tell you what I know. I will show you what I can reach. If my mother has made your garden into a cage for the Archfey, then we will find where the lock is. It is not an apology. It is not redemption. Maeve has already decided those things will be measured by action rather than words. But it is the first time Lillian has admitted that whatever comes next cannot be arranged by Lillian alone. And after everything she did beneath the Wyrmwell, she knows perfectly well that some of the people she may need have every reason to refuse her. 3 months after the Wyrmwell, Maeve stands above Veridia and looks across at what the garden has become. Green flows over roofs and brick, neighbours tend shared gardens, children play beneath the living shade. Food grows where hunger used to be accepted as inevitable. Roots strengthen homes the city had forgotten. Jasmine climbs soot-darkened walls, and people gather near the garden because the trust moving beneath their feet makes them feel safer. Some call her queen. Some call her high royal. Some lower their voices when she passes because they're not sure whether the roots can hear them or not. Maeve places a hand against living wood, and the garden responds immediately. Her garden, the Archfey's dream, Viridia's gift. Something new. This is what she wanted. Then deep beneath the city, black silk tightens. A second command presses against roots, and Maeve's expression changes. Not fear this time, anger. The mistake was never creating the garden. The mistake would be allowing the Spider Queen to believe that because she used it once, she owns the road. Maeve closes her eyes. Her markings brighten. Across Veridia, thousands of roots become still, listening. And she calls, "You used my roots to enter this city. I will not use them to take it. You will not use them to take it." Sorry. Somewhere below, black silk pulls taut. The garden pulls back. For 3 months, Veridia has been learning how to live with the garden, and now it's about to learn that the garden has been fighting to remain its own. Somewhere inside that living network, the Archfey is still there, still frightened, still waiting, and the promises made beneath Veridia have not finished collecting their price. And somewhere, just outside the walls of the city of Veridia, a woman walks past a blooming jasmine flower. 6 white petals open, and a small vein of a black thread through one of the leaves. The woman reaches down to smell it, fresh and beautiful. And for a moment, the woman hears the words, "Please help," very faintly. And that is where campaign 2 will begin.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oi, yeah, yeah.
Holy Hannah.
You motherfuckers are
Guys.
all gonna fall for Lillian again. I can't believe it.
You brought this on yourself. Just pointing that out.
I'm fully siding with her.
You can fully side with her if you want, Kaliana, but you're going to be playing a new character.
I know.
But one thing that I can say is you're going to have questions. I've got questions that I want to ask you and your characters. You're all going to have questions for me, but I'll answer one of them now. No, Lillian does not take center stage in this next campaign. Center stage is Maeve.
Oh,
Don't kill
Miriel.
her, guys.
I'm going to so stick a dagger in you.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
If we can't get to Lillian, it's going to happen to Maeve.
as for the first question I'm going to ask you all, who do you think called for help?
The Archfey.
Wrong.
Lol.
Or lols.
No, not
Lol.
Lolf.
I reckon it was Lillian.
Correct.
Oh.
Lillian was the one calling for help.
That's. Oh. I'm not going to say anything.
I've already been creating my character for the second campaign.
I already have mine.
Fair enough.
Already fully
So,
set up.
now you've all heard of what happens in the 3 months after the Wyrmwell. What are your experiences? What are your thoughts? What's running through your head?
I think the biggest thought in my head is, please hurry up with campaign 2.
Yeah, please, honestly, I need it. I need it.
But I really love the story, and yeah, I love what I did with Aurelian because he'd had enough,
Fair.
and he met someone.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes,
So
he
he
did.
right back
But at
to
least
the rest of us to let us know that he's okay.
Oh no, he doesn't want nothing to do with any of you lot. You blindly followed. You blindly followed Lydian, and you betrayed his friendship. The only one he gives a slight damn about, and I've written this down in my answer, is Kane for healing him.
Yep.
Hey, I got you.
They're like BFFs now.
Pen pals. We text each other sometimes, you know. He's like the one dude that's like I tell everyone else like, oh yeah, no, he's doing wonderful. Don't worry about him. No, I'm not gonna give you his contact info. Leave
Yeah.
him alone.
I was going to say,
Occasionally-
Shane definitely has Aurelian's shell phone number.
Yeah, no, 100%.
we occasionally send letters by Al.
We have coffee dates sometimes. Very occasionally, though.
What have they told
I
you
bring
about
him-
sending your children and putting them to work? Child labour laws exist for a reason.
Oh no, it's a life lesson. This is a navigation lesson.
Is it like homing pigeons? You send them out to see if they can come back?
No, because owls are smarter than homing pigeons.
They are not.
I was gonna say.
Owls are
Not really.
notoriously very dumb
Pigeons,
animals.
common pigeons would be better, and owls are kind of slow.
I know.
Are you gonna play another owl flaps and watch him die as well?
Oh no, my next character, I've already made it, and he's going to be amazing, and he's going to be Faye,
Ooh.
Yep.
and he's going to be
He's learned
comical.
his lesson.
And what I will ask is we're going to change it up a little bit for the Coffee Cogs and Confessions side of things. And we're going to start with you, the players, asking me questions about Campaign 1 and the story of the Aftermath.
I have the ultimate question.
I have a question as well after flaps.
I do have also a question after Muriel.
My ultimate question is this. Obviously, throughout the entire City of Veridia campaign, we missed stuff, but the biggest missed storyline we never finished was the purple tendrils. Did that annoy you?
No.
Ooh.
Oh,
In fact, the fact that you missed the purple tendrils and didn't chase it is going to become a part of Campaign 2.
Oh, guys, we're so fucked.
He still hasn't
Guys.
died, guys. This is why he's so relaxed about it. He's like, thank God I get more time.
Campaign 2, we explore the purple tendrils again.
Campaign
Oh,
2,
they're
but
going to
all
be
of us
coming
die
back
immediately.
with a vengeance.
Oh
Oh.
no.
Campaign 2, all of us die immediately.
yeah. We enter Veridia and we get killed by the purple tendrils.
No, it's not going
Yep.
to be. It's not going to be immediate. But
Oh, that doesn't make it better.
So the second day. Got it.
bear in mind, the purple tendrils tended to work and react to fear and lies and all of that.
Yeah.
With Lolth in the roots, it's going to play a big part.
Oh, they're going to be
So
hyper
essentially,
aggressive.
if there was purple tendrils around and people started asking Severin questions, it would be going off a lot because what's he lying often?
Dude only lies.
No one has ever gotten to a point of asking him enough
Are
that
you
he actually
okay?
will end up telling the truth.
Fair. So, Maeve, what's your question?
Okay, so we know how it ended,
Yes.
and how it began, the way that we played it out. Is it different from what you were expecting from the beginning towards the middle, the way that it did end? And are you sad about it, or are you happy about it?
I'm actually extremely happy with the way it ended. It was always Lilian's intention from the get-go, as an agent of Lolth, to bring her mother to Veridia. The fact that you almost failed with the engine at certain points almost had me squealing in my chair. But there was a couple of key things that you did as players that rectified the amount of damage that could have been done, that basically put Lolth and the Archfey, for that interaction, on an even playing field, locking both into a stalemate. And
Question.
that made me extremely happy, because the BBEG didn't win, the good guys didn't win, and it left the campaign open for a new story arc that I am halfway through developing at the moment on paper and in rough notes.
Are Aurelian's watches going to be part of that?
One question at a time, and there's still people in the queue.
My apologies.
So, Turtle, was your question an addendum or a different question? If so, we go to Omega
would have gone
first.
off with what it would have gone off of with what we were just talking about with the worm within the Wyrmwell and such.
Yes.
Just more of a quick sudden curiosity kind of thing.
Okay.
Which, if anyone has a more important question, I can go last.
Well, let's stick with the order then. So, Omega.
How much is it affecting Lillian that half of the cadaver crew, or not even half, like literally two-thirds, either hate her or don't trust her at all? How much is it affecting her mentally?
She is extremely aware of the fact.
I don't think she cares that much. I'm not gonna lie.
She does.
Fair.
Believe it or not, she does.
Damn.
And she has an obligation that she must keep. So, Turtle.
If Severin had vortex warp Liliana off the crystal while she still had a hold of the rapier, would that have helped or made things worse?
If she had been vortex warped out from where she was with the rapier and plunging it in, she was holding on to the rapier, so the rapier would have gone with her. The problem is what happens if, after you have started and released a planar shift, halfway through you rip the coordinates.
There could have been a very bad blowback effect.
Yeah. That could have gone very badly for the Wyrmwell engine itself.
I guess it would be more of like putting a bag of holding inside another bag of holding. Kind of.
Almost exactly like that, yes.
Well, I am glad I didn't do that. And in fact,
So the
decided
astral
to
plane we
move
go.
Maeve out of her spot to try to help out with that. So wasn't quite cooking up with it.
So, any more questions? Flaps, you had one. Flaps has gone on mute.
I have one, but I'm thinking on how to word it because it's not really a question.
Okay. Go ahead
I
and
just
say
feel
it.
like. Oh wait, no, Flap's back.
Gives you a bit more time to think of how to word it then.
Yep.
It's a multi-question, actually.
Go on then.
So, obviously, Aurelian's buried his misbehaving watchers.
Yes.
Will they be playing parts in the future campaign? And the second part of that question is, did the ending of the first campaign go as you planned,
The second part of that question I have already just answered.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to repeat myself, but I would say it was a very, very good ending for everyone, players and the DM included. For the first part of your question, will the Watches play a part in the second campaign? I doubt it.
Okay. What the fuck was Lillian's plan? Like, what was her goal other than bringing Loth? Because I feel like she would be happy or ecstatic that like the plan succeeded in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
but that feels like it would have been like a first step at most.
Yep.
So the fact that she's like distraught is either something is off or like that is also just another play from her end.
In that regard, you would have to find out. But what I can say is Lillian wanted the garden because of her deal with the Archfey.
Mm-hmm.
So she allowed and she followed through with her deal, her bargain that she made. And in return, it was never asked why or who Lillian was going to be allowing the use of that road, as it were. And yeah, that question was never asked. So she got what she wanted. She kept her end of the bargain with the Fae, with the Archfey, in return for her being allowed to be free in the world and not subject to God knows what horrors. She struck up deal. She managed to get out of the Feywild. For why she was there, we don't know.
Mhm.
Well, I do. And so she kept her part of the bargain, and she saw an opportunity as an agent of Lolth to use what bargain she had made. So she did, to bring her mother home to Veridia. The goal was never for Liliane to gain the power or to become the queen or anything like that. The goal was to bring Lolth down to Albion and into the world where Lolth could basically carve out her own domain and the Dryder and the Drow could live the way they should, as it were. So
Was that her like was did she know she was going to be bringing Loth through the path before she made the bargain with the Archfey?
she worked that part of the plan out after the bargain when
Okay.
she had finalised the wording of the bargain that she'd made with the Archfey.
Okay.
There is a power in which words are spoken carefully.
We need to learn those words.
I have one more question.
Yes.
So Maeve came in halfway through, like that you guys had already been through Veridia.
Mm-hmm.
If she had never came in, what was the plan for Veridia?
The plan for Veridia was for going to then, if Maeve hadn't have come in, it would have been through Roland.
Oh God,
I don't know who that is.
that would have been way worse.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Uh,
So you know the noble
Roland
dude that
is
we have.
a Fey I think a minor archfake-ish being
Yeah.
Is
Roland.
that
Oh, okay.
we
Yes.
had a tie with.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was either we had to choose to go with the Fae or go with the royal, the nobility, and we essentially split the difference and had done billings for both, and then it eventually went for Fae for him. He was
Okay.
our intermediary between the Archfey.
I remember now. He was in like two of our sessions when I first joined
Yes.
because he brought me in.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
That would have
Okay,
been way worse.
I got another one. What's the new major factions up to in these 3 months?
Spoilers.
Oh,
Oh, since we're making new characters and stuff,
Hmm.
our characters are obviously going to be doing stuff in the meantime.
Yes. Your characters will become very prevalent NPCs at the Clockwork Cadaver. And Lillian won't be expecting any of you to go on this crazy ass mission to rescue the Archfey. In order for Lillian to fulfill her obligation in protecting the garden. And Lillian, what's cutting at Lillian is the fact that she knows she has to answer to her mother, she has to answer to the garden, and she has to answer to Maeve. And there is a problem where she cannot fulfill her obligations to one of them without hurting another. Now, in the context of Lolth and Maeve and the Archfey, either she can hurt the garden or she can cut the web. And with everything that she's seen, with everything that she's been through, what I can say is that the emotion and the feelings, the quivering in her voice, the tears down her face were genuine.
That deal that Maeve struck and changed the contract for really fucked her up.
Yes, it did.
If she would have just kept the original contract, a lot of this probably wouldn't be a problem for her.
Lillian would have been out of there scot fucking free.
Oh no, the consequences of my actions.
Oh,
And
good.
that's pretty
You
much
brought it on yourself.
All I'm going to say is, even as a DM, I have to face the consequences.
it.
In a way,
Ay,
I
ay,
think
ay.
And
Severn's
especially
kind of
with the time. Sorry, go on, Turtle.
in a way, I think Severn's kind of the only one that's unchanged, vaguely, because he he still has the whole same concept of need be. I can always just go if shit gets too crazy, or he always has money and hidden away
Yep.
while everyone else is similar stuff and
I
still
mean,
going through.
yeah. I mean, Lillian is very much a woman who keeps her word, her promises. She will always pay her bills. She will always pay off her debts. She will always work on what's owed. That she is, even though she has been dishonest with her words or with the way she's said things and the way she's gone about doing things. She has never been dishonest with her word. She may have omitted things intentionally, but she has never been dishonest. And every word she has spoken has always been true.
Learned a lesson now about signing contracts that she should want to uphold.
Yep. And she is upholding them. So now you lot have had your fun questioning me.
Oh, wait. Who the fuck was the rich man in the photo? I just remember that.
Ask
I've got
Lou. Ask Lou
Okay,
who her character killed in the past.
okay. I figure it has something to do with that,
oh,
but
I've got one more question before you start asking your questions.
Go on.
So this campaign 2,
Yes.
and you said our characters will become NPCs or
Yes.
key figures. I may, with your permission, work out a way for Aurelian to come back and visit the city.
I would allow it, but they would not be allowed to be a part of the crew or the team that's going through the rescue of the Archfey.
Oh no, I've got a character for that. I'm thinking he's coming back to the city to buy a nice ring. Oh,
Well, it looks like your characters may get a chance to have a chat with Aurelian in the near future. Who knows?
Wait, is Aurelian gonna text Kenya? I'm coming back. Don't tell the guys.
I'll send you a pigeon.
Send me a pigeon. Yeah.
every time Kaliana sees an owl at the window, she just like gets ready to dodge a spell.
You're the one with PTSD in this campaign the most.
So,
She's
on
just a jumpy person. It's fun.
yeah, on to the coffee, cogs, and confessions, and we'll start with the coffee for Aurelian.
Oh,
Aurelian, you begin the finale still being the ridiculous bird who weaponizes chronergy for compulsory friendship, and finishes it with an attempt to stop Lillian, believing the crew failed to believe him, and eventually walking away from Veridia altogether. Your player, you as a player, have established that he regarded Lillian's act as a betrayal and abandons the Wyrmwell and the Black Hour and becomes a village teacher, starts courting Serenity, and is terrified of imagining happiness. So, with all of that in mind, you finally fulfilled the old Coffee Cogs and Confessions request and froze Severin in time so everyone could hug him. Was that genuine affection, or had Aurelian simply been waiting weeks for a socially acceptable misuse of chronergy?
um,
Yeah.
well, yes and no. I mean, with what I knew about Lillian, it was Aurelian's way of saying goodbye to someone he kind of considered a friend.
Fair enough. You've gone from Wyrmwell engineer and conspiracy obsessed professor to village teacher. What's the first completely mundane lesson that you teach that makes you think, yes, this is considerably better than saving Veridia?
He's refusing to teach magic, so he's teaching the basic 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. And he finds it a lot easier than dealing with a bunch of people who didn't trust him in the end.
Fair enough. And Serenity has entered your life. What absolutely terrible Aurelian habit has she already discovered that he was somehow convinced nobody would notice?
She has discovered and become exasperated by him reading the paper upside down.
Yes, yes, I was praying for this.
Brilliant. So, Maeve, your coffee questions.
Yes.
Maeve is now being called Queen of the Garden and even Viridia's High Royal. What is the most ridiculous request a citizen has brought before Her Majesty so far?
Mm. Oh, that's a good one. What would be something ridiculous that somebody would do?
I feel like that might be
Probably
Kaliana.
to clear some of the flowers and the roots after all the time that she took and her power to make them. They didn't like them and they wanted them. It was a Karen and was like, Your Highness,
Sorry, I actually
please
asked
take
for
these
beige
away.
and not white. Could you please change them? I do not want beige flowers, thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah. That would be it. Like distaste for the stuff that she has done. And Maeve would have scoffed.
Those Karenas get everywhere.
Yep. Severin wants plants for darker parts of the cadaver, things that can thrive in shadow and perhaps glow. What absurdly specific plant does Maeve decide would be perfect for him? Oh, Severin's disappeared temporarily.
Oh.
She would actually try and create a new plant that would kind of be a glow in the dark fly eating trap that would just come up at random wherever Severn wanted, because she's has no issues helping her friends and giving them what they want in the growing sense, but she would make it glow. And it could be a fly eating trap, except it wouldn't just be for flies. It could be for any number of things that would walk by it of decent size.
Fair enough. And your third coffee question? Someone has already begun selling pressed jasmine to tourists, which means somebody else has inevitably started selling fake pressed jasmine. How personally offended is Maeve by the counterfeit garden merchandise?
She is godsmacked this. And she will purposely go find out who this person is, wrap them up in her vines, squeeze them like the prepackaged stuff of fake stuff that is happening before her, and then let them go and heal them just to make sure that, because she doesn't want to hurt anybody. She doesn't want to kill. It's never about that. But that would be like, that would be so bad. Oh my gosh, why would someone do that?
Well,
Money.
this is Veridia. Welcome to Veridia.
Money.
A vine also may be permanently shoved up somewhere where the sun don't shine, but we won't get into it.
Oh,
It lives there now.
Veridia turns into hentai. Let's move on.
A cannon now.
It was bound to happen eventually anyway, so...
Yeah,
I'm surprised it took this long.
Yeah, no, we had purple tentacles and all different kinds of shit going on. Guys...
I mean, we joined in pretty late.
Dude, no, first session where Metal said it, we said it, the purple tentacles, we all said it laughing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Kaliana.
I don't know if it's gonna be Sativa or Indica. I'm just gonna depend entirely on Maeve. Sorry, was that not the first question?
So no, it wasn't. But your coffee questions.
Oh my god.
Kaliana has somehow gone from new person who knows how machines work to being potentially responsible for the cadaver, the Wyrmwell, 5 siblings, the slums, and a regular 4 a.m. vampire appointment. Which responsibility does she regret acquiring?
Fuck. Oh,
Yes.
that is actually a good question. Honestly, I feel like the vampire appointment might be what is getting her through it all.
Fair.
Uh, she has a strong sense of responsibility for her siblings and technically for the slums. I feel like the cadaver is just an extension of like family life in a sense. So it would probably end up being the Wyrmwell.
Right.
Mm.
Fair enough. Your second coffee question. Rash has apparently begun teaching Ethan about firearms. How long does Kaliana realistically think she can keep that secret before Sienna discovers?
I don't think she's thinking of how long and of like how can she justify it. She's already going through the argument in her head, just like, I mean, you know what life is like here.
We're gonna have to get Lou, who plays Sienna, in for that one.
I,
We'll
I
ha-
will I will say this is the second time that I've been on a campaign with Lou, and I've sort of closed it off by giving one of her characters' child a gun. It's become a recurring bit,
Okay, fair enough.
Considering that happened twice.
and I'm aiming for 3, baby.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
As long as there's firearms, I'm gonna be giving them to a child.
God.
Please do not give firearms to your children.
This is purely in D&D context, so yes. And your third coffee question is, every 3 days at 4 in the morning, Kaliana visits Lady Addington. At this point, what is the strangest thing that has become completely normal about having a vampire aristocrat in your social calendar?
I think just interacting with a tax bracket. I think a vampire, fine. An older woman who wants like her physically, understandable. I think the amount of money that someone has as a lady is something that is completely like outside of uh like that is an actual eldritch thing for Kaliana. Like she cannot really every
Yeah.
now and then she'll be in that place and she'll be seeing something that is so expensive that she feels like she just like came outside of her body and just like, oh fuck, that is how we look like for these creatures above, quotation mark.
Mm,
There's an absurdity to it.
fair enough. And do we have a Severin with us?
Yep.
So your 3 coffee questions. Now that several months have passed, has Severin forgiven Aurelian for freezing him in time for the mandatory group hug, or is the Shadowhound still owed several feathers?
I think he probably, in his head, he probably forgave him for it after he had his coffee that day.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was like, initially he appreciated it. So he's not the type to outwardly admit it. And if Aurelian was to ever show up, he wouldn't have the hound sick on him or anything. At most, he'd probably just a quick thump on the beak before giving him a hug as in welcoming him back. Because Severin is probably slowly opening up a bit more to anyone who asks him questions or interacts with them. He seems a bit nicer. He's not the best with emotion.
Fair enough. And on the subject of emotions, your second coffee question. Your answer to almost every existential crisis eventually seems to involve either magical darkness or cooking. Which one is actually the healthier coping mechanism?
Probably the cooking because he could probably have some assistance with it. I mean, if he does, he probably would. If anyone's in there with him, he'd probably like Ethan. He'd probably teach him a few little recipes he's working on. He'd uh, just take the time and you talk with anyone who's wanting to help him out or anything. When he
Mm-hmm.
goes through his shadows, it's more of for the moment, he just wants to be left alone to try to figure something out that is bugging him without any interference.
Fair
And
enough.
it's kind of the easiest way to do it because if you
Yeah, makes
snap up
sense.
a pitch black orb around you in a spot, no one's going to want to step in because that means that they're not going to see anything and they're going to bump into shit that could possibly break.
Yep. So you weren't here when Maeve answered this question from her side of it, which was about the plants in the shade, in the shadows. Maeve's answer was a carnivorous plant of sorts, like a Venus flytrap, but eats a bit more than Venus flytrap, eats a bit more than flies, and essentially glows in the dark as well. So if Maeve really does grow glowing shadow plants around Severin's favourite parts of the cadaver, what does Severin secretly name the first one when no one else is listening?
Uh,
Don't say Audrey.
Damn it.
no, he would never flat out say Audrey or Audrey 2. Maybe Audrey the third. No, something akin to a Venus flytrap or like a snapdragon, quite literal, like dragon aspect mouth and such. You'd
Mm-hmm.
probably call it nibble.
Nibbles.
And if it was full on carnivorous, he would probably sit down because he would purposely he would move a little chair there with the table where he would usually take his coffee or tea and drink, and every now and then he would feed it a bit of meat.
Fair. Fair enough. And then finally, I believe we have Kane.
Yo.
Your 3 coffee questions. Kane
Oh,
has
no.
apparently become a healer, a businessman, a bartender, a magical weaponsmith, and a full-time training addict in 3 months. Which one of
Yep.
those does he actually introduce himself as?
Single.
Good answer.
I'll be here.
Depressed.
Say that again.
Depressed? No. Honestly, probably businessman.
Fair enough. You spend some time behind the cadaver bar reading people, making deals, and gathering useful contacts. What's the first
Mhm.
drink that you can now make properly without destroying anything expensive at the bar?
Water.
Huh? Huh?
Water with a hint
I'm
of
made out of
lime.
water. Fuck you mean? Fuck you mean? I'm made out of water.
Exactly.
Water with a garnish of lime and cherry.
How about you don't break a building? Get out of here. That
That threw me for a second. What? That fucking Fey drink.
Oh,
I
yes.
could not do the first time. And broke a glass.
I forgot what it was called. There's two versions of it. He's gonna learn both of them.
Yep.
Mm.
Oh,
I think that was a. I think that was a custom thing with
it
Faylight
was.
fermenters. Between.
It was a custom drink, and just trying to remember it. It was the Blooming Pride, which was made by the Phalite fermenters. The Blooming Pride was the emerald green drink that swirled, flashed white, and then set into a jelly-like form that could be lifted out and eaten from a cocktail stick.
Mhm.
And then the related variant was called Nightfall's Blessing, made from the same basic drink but bitter rather than sweet, with a sleepy nightcap effect.
It's got nothing on the WD-40 we made for the Warforged.
Oh, oil decrude.
No, the special WD-40 spirit drink you made.
Yeah, that was oil decrude.
Hmm.
Oh, the one we had to do that
Yeah, but
operation for so you could drink it.
that's more of a specialty for certain clientele because no one else can really drink that.
Yeah, pretty much. That was purely Hexalon's drink.
Yeah.
And any other Warforged that stepped in at the time.
Not for human consumption.
Pretty much, yeah. That was that was just purely Hexalon's, I'm not gonna lie. And your third and final question then, Omega.
Mm.
Your
Mhm.
water now reacts more strongly to your emotions, and animals sometimes move towards or away from, depending on your mood. What's the funniest moment when Kane realised everyone else could tell he was annoyed before you said anything?
Arguing with a patron because they're actively saying something that is annoying everyone, but their drink actively freezing while he's holding it in his hand, not realizing that it's frozen, but he's still holding it, and then shoves it to the person, and it falls down because it's already ice.
Fair enough. And now we move to the lore questions, the cogs. The cogs.
Mm.
So we'll continue with Kane for now.
Oh
And
no!
I've got one each for each of you. So, Kane, 1, 2,
Yeah.
or 3?
Don't do this to me. Come on, let's go. Let's go big or go home. Go 3.
Kane's water now carries Fey-like colours and responds to you differently. Does Kane's
Yeah.
view that as a gift, contamination, evolution, or evidence that your patron and Maeve's garden may be more connected than you understand?
Second and last one. Evolution and that this patron might be a little bit more connected than he realized.
Fair enough. Severin, your cog question.
Uh,
1, 2, or 3?
so middle ground 2.
Severin's shadow magic has become slightly more responsive, and he sometimes thinks he can sense emotions through darkness. Do you believe that this is his own magic evolving, the garden affecting him in some way, or something else watching back through the shadows?
I want to say a bit of his own uh, doing, and of him essentially pushing his limits of what he could do, along with influence from the garden, because it's essentially it's more life and all. So essentially, it's more of he's just seeing what he's able to do and kind of evolve with it, and it's that he's just kind of catching like the slight subtle fluctuations that would be unperceivable by others and by the majority of the people of how the shadows react to people's current state or actions of, just to say that, like what some people say that the eyes are the window to the soul, so
Yeah.
too can the shadow. Sometimes
Fair
the
enough.
shadows will move before the people will.
Fair enough. Kaliana,
What's the worst one, boss?
1, 2, or 3?
What's the worst one?
These are all lore questions, essentially. Lore about your character rather than any confession.
Yeah. No, I think no one's done one yet. I'll go with one.
Lillian promised Kaliana a favour for preventing anyone from shutting the Wyrmwell down. Kaliana now wants to use that leverage to improve conditions in the slums. What do you actually ask for when she finally decides to cash in that favour?
I feel like it depends on what the situation is in regards to the Cold War between the Fae and Loth.
It's essentially at a stalemate, but the Archfey is... Maeve would know, but the rest of you might not, because she might not have told you. Lillian would know, however, as well. But the Archfey is losing ground, and that's one of the things that is worrying Lillian.
And how's the ground loss, or like how's the ground gained by Loth, like manifesting on day-to-day life? Like how do people notice that, or is that like completely um like something that
At
is
the
only
current
privy to those in the game?
at the current moment, it's only privy to those that are in the game.
I think if there would, I feel it would probably be more like the spread of the web through along the roots and such that would probably be
Exactly.
more of it.
I think a favor would be something to do with the safety of the people, but I generally have to look through the wording very thoroughly before that.
Around Lillian, that's probably a very good
Yes,
idea.
yes. Hmm.
It's like the airtight wish from a genie.
Yeah, I've I've figured as much. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, that's why I was like, I'm gonna sit on this favor. I don't know what the situation is gonna call for.
yeah. So Maeve,
Yes.
1, 2, or 3?
With one.
Maeve deliberately made trust the new heartbeat of the Wyrmwell rather than fear. What does she think trust actually means when it is being carried beneath an entire city full of liars, criminals, politicians, and people who are simply frightened?
It kind of coincides with truth, except truth was too small to use. Like it was very, if you use truth, it's very pinpointed. In a lot of ways, that you can get away with saying the truth, but it actually not. Whereas trust,
Yeah,
so with trust, it allows people to feel a certain way about maybe their neighbors, maybe their family. It allows a certain amount of, how do I say that? Um, Even with like the criminals, right? Like there's still trust among the criminals, and even for trust among the people of Veridia to know that there still may be bad things happening, but there's trust kind of like filtering through that not everything will stay bad or
Yeah,
be bad. I think I explained that right. Hopefully I did. Hopefully that makes sense.
I think I catch your drift on that one. And then finally, on the cogs questions, we come to flaps. 1, 2, or 3?
I always pick even numbers, so I will go with 3.
Wait, what?
Oh,
I always pick even numbers, so I'm going to go for an odd number and pick 3.
Okay, fair enough.
oh.
Aurelian sacrificed a future in which he solved the Black Hour. If somebody came to him tomorrow with undeniable evidence that the Black Hour mystery was still solvable, would you burn the evidence, read it, or hate yourself while doing both?
He would willingly ignore it. He's got a new life with Serenity, and he's teaching the children their basic skills. He doesn't want nothing more to do with that part of his life.
Fair enough. And I think that brings us to the confessions. The questions the players don't want to answer.
Oh
And
no.
the questions that the characters carry a heavy burden on their hearts with. 4. And it's time to finally get them off your chest. So, with the deep questions, with the confessions, 1 each. Aurelian, 1, 2, or 3?
1.
When Lillian pushed the rapier into the time crystal, Aurelian immediately tried to stop her. What hurt more afterwards, Lillian betraying your trust, or the people you considered friends not trusting you enough to follow your warning?
It wasn't Lillian who broke his trust. He already knew he couldn't trust her. It was the fact that his friends, those he considered friends, fell for her lies. That's what
One
broke him.
one was under the influence of magic, and the other was doing it of their own free will. If you'd known that Sienna was under the effects of Gase, would that have changed your opinion or any of your actions?
No, because in Aurelian's eyes, that shows a weakness of fortitude, of mental fortitude, and not a weakness of character.
Fair. So, Maeve,
Yes.
1, 2, or 3?
We are going to go with 2 this time.
Maeve still cares about Lillian, but no longer trusts her. If Lillian genuinely honours the promise, risks her own power, and helps free the Archfey, could Maeve ever trust her again? Or are some betrayals permanent even when forgiveness could be possible?
Maeve could forgive her. Forgiveness doesn't mean forget. I don't think if Lillian was to put herself forward and actually do something that was productive and for the safety of Veridia, the people that she cares about, the animals, the plants, and everything, Maeve would deeply consider forgiving the debt that Lillian owes her. Because as of right now, the debt that Lillian owes goes till death of Lillian. She would owe Maeve for the rest of her living life until she dies. However, if she was to sacrifice, and I'm not necessarily saying she has to sacrifice her life, sacrifice something that means a good chunk to her feeling wise, and make an effort to protect the Archfey, Maeve, her friends, her people, her plants, her animals, she would then forgive Lillian of the debt that is owed. But she would not forget. But that doesn't mean that Maeve wouldn't be friendly to her. Because even though people can be crummy, it doesn't mean that you need to be crummy back.
Yeah. Fair enough. Kaliana.
Oh.
1, 2, or 3?
Hold up, what roll D4 for 3. There we go.
3. Kaliana has spent her entire life protecting a found family because nobody else would. Now she suddenly has access to gods, aristocrats, factions, and real political leverage. Are you afraid that succeeding might turn you into exactly the kind of powerful person you used to resent?
I feel like any degree of success would be made with her family in mind, the same way that the betrayal of like Aurelia and whatnot was done. Like that's ultimately her goal. She might get a little bit lost in the sauce, so to speak. But I feel like her siblings, Rex in particular, might like hold her like accountable. Just like don't forget, like don't forget where you're from. Don't forget why you're doing this. And I feel like she trusts them enough to heed their words if it comes to that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Severin. I'm going to ask you the same thing. 1, 2, or 3?
Let's go uno.
Uno. Severin's greatest fear in the 3-month gap is that everything he has can be taken away in an instant. After finally having friends, some stability, and something resembling a home, has having more actually made him more afraid?
Ooh.
Yeah, because it would be a greater loss and would hit them a lot harder than, okay, so I lost a bit of gold. Gotta find a new place to stay, kind of stuff. This is more of, I am now once again alone.
And then finally, the final confession question for the evening. Kane.
Oh no.
1, 2, or 3?
What's the
Sorry.
worst one? Fuck it. Let's go 2.
2?
Yeah, go on.
That's the one I wanted to ask. Excellent.
Oh, fuck off.
Kane
He only
does.
has one question prep for everyone, and he asks the numbers just to be funky.
No,
Yeah,
I've
no,
had,
100%.
I have genuinely got 3 questions for each section.
I'm
So,
teasing about it.
Kane does not trust Lillian because he believes
Yeah.
she used them all. And quite rightly
Yeah.
so. Now
Yeah.
Now Lillian has finally said, I need help. without disguising it as a favour or contract? Is there anything she could say or do that would make Kane choose to help her willingly?
Paint would help her. No, he wouldn't help her. He'd help Maeve. Because this is a more thing for the Archfey instead of that. So he would help. If Lillian asks him face to face, probably tell her, I'm already helping. Bug off.
Fair. Fair enough. So I have one final question for the whole table. So one at a time, please. Or you can discuss it however you like. But at 4 in the morning on the final day, you were all sitting around the Clockwork Cadaver breakfast table. By the end of that day, Veridia had changed forever, and the crew would never quite exist in the same way again. If your character could sit back down at that table for 5 minutes, knowing everything that they know now, what would they say to the others before anyone left for the Wyrmwell?
I think I could answer slightly. I know what I would say. I
Go
would
for it.
change my warning. I would change my warning to Caliana, and I would tell her to keep an eye on Lillian.
Fair enough. Omega?
I would whisper everything I know to Aurelian and Maeve.
Interesting. Kaliana?
I don't think Kaliana would want to change much of what happened. Personally, I'm really curious how it would have played out if she had not held back and just fully annihilated Aurelian in a single turn, which was an
Well,
option, and I didn't do it.
Yep, that's true. That's very true. Maeve?
Um, she would tell Severin not to pull her out
Interesting.
because there was a risk that um, Loth could have gotten in a different way or even taken her body as a vessel, which right now it doesn't seem like it, but going forward, she still holds Loth to a debt. And that may come at a price for her in the time that comes, but it's something that she has leverage over someone as big and mighty as Loth. And I think there's not much that we could have done to stop Loth from really coming in, because I'm sure she would have came whether we did the wormhole, Wyrmwell, regardless. So yeah, I think she would have said for Severin not to pull her out. That way she could keep something above Loth's head for them.
Fair
interesting, that.
enough. And finally, Severin. Knowing everything that Severin knows now, what would Severin say to the others before anyone left for the Wyrmwell at that breakfast table?
probably would have told him whether he essentially would have wanted to fully admit it or not. But he trusts in Aurelian, and we all should probably help him out more than we can and such. Because he definitely would have been a lot better off if everyone was still stuck around and such.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
And he was still he definitely been mostly to himself, telling him try not to fuck up even more. But, he kind of felt like he did. I felt like he didn't really do much, but some roles were bad.
Mm.
He fumbled often.
So, for all the chaos, all the arguments, all the lies, the bargains, the blood, bad decisions, impossible choices, City of Veridia is still standing. Cadaver Crew, they changed it. Some stayed, some walked away, some found family, and some found purpose. And some found out that surviving the ending does not mean that the story is over. The garden grows, the roots remember, and somewhere beneath all of that brass and jasmine, there are still debts unpaid and promises waiting to be collected. So tonight we close the book on one chapter of Veridia, but not the city. Not yet. Because in Veridia, the truth is never free, and the roots have only just begun to speak. Bye.